This world is very cruel, but he'll get a new woman for him, and she'll be very attractive. Don't worry, this leaves the old man all shy. One last problem for Zhang Yi is the baby. Zhou says he won't stop crying, and nothing works now. With his eyes, he asks if she has used that. She feels embarrassed, saying that's enough. These are only for Zhang Yi's use. The protagonist says he will get someone who can breastfeed the baby. We didn't see if he talked to Uncle Yu about it, because in the next scene, Zhang Yi was going with the baby to Li Jian's building. Maybe this was the only one the protagonist didn't burn. He called for their leader, Li Jian, and told him he needed him. Zhang Yi asks if he's not afraid. Li Jian says he is, but it's also useless to run away from him. Moreover, coming like this with a baby in his arms doesn't seem like he was here to kill them. He asked them to find a mother to take care of this baby. There's food here for a while, for whoever takes the child. Zhang Yi says he won't do anything against him and his building because he truly knows they won't try anything against him. Li Jian, not very grateful, says he will take care of the child. He even runs to a woman, hands over the child and the food, and tells her to take it because everything here is truly shared. Observing how many people are alive in his building, Zhang Yi asks how they will survive when their food runs out. Li Jian says that when there's no food, they will die with dignity. The protagonist says that the food problem can be solved with the things he burned before. Li Jian firmly says no, and despite everything Zhang Yi did to corrupt Li Jian, he never faltered once, so Zhang Yi says he admires him a lot, and Li Jian also says he admires how Zhang Yi has the power to keep those close to him alive. Thinking for a moment, Li Jian wanted to ask a favor of the protagonist, but Zhang Yi stops him and says no. However, he continues, and says that the protagonist used to deliver food to all the buildings before, so now that there's only one building left, why not help them? Zhang Yi just refuses and leaves, but after thinking for a moment, he changes his mind a little. He says that if he helps his people for a while, everything will go wrong, and they'll end up like the other buildings too. Instead, he gives them all the seeds he had. If they manage to plant them somehow, they will be able to rely on themselves and not on other. These seeds are the last thing they receive from him. For the first time since the snow apocalypse began, Zhang Yi helps someone without any ulterior motives. Li Jian asks one of his residents if it's possible to cultivate it, and an elderly biology teacher says it's not impossible. Maybe there's a small chance of success. Meanwhile, in his luxury home, Zhang Yi mentions that the neighbor's issue has been completely resolved, and now the goal is to get their hands on a new fortress. After a while, Zhou returns home and asks if he's finished his work. Yes. Taking off her coat, she asks what he wants to eat. Zhou, all innocent, starts preparing in the kitchen, and the mischievous protagonist holds her back and says she should guess what he wants to eat. She feels awkward, mentioning that her uncle is in the next room, but Zhang Yi says the house has soundproofing and thermal insulation. The next day, Zhou, very tired from all the effort, continued sleeping. Zhang Yi sends a message to Xu Hao, "Come to my house now." It didn't take long for him to arrive. The same person who not long ago was being kicked by others on Zhang Yi's orders was now in his warm house. Out of respect, he sits on the floor and not on the sofa, waiting for the boss. Zhang Yi wants to know about the dealings with Wang Simon. Before Xu Hao can speak, the protagonist tells him to shut up and give him his phone. Xu Hao freezes in fear. Why on earth does he want to see his phone? Zhang Yi insists, saying to hurry. He's going to read his conversations with Wang Simon. Xu Hao says it's better not to. Suspiciously, Zhang Yi grabs him by the collar, asking if he's hiding something. After some threats, the guy hands over his phone to the protagonist. Xu Hao says he cursed Zhang Yi a lot in there, but that's part of the act, so don't take it to heart. He sees that Xu Hao has passed all his information to Wang Simon, and they discuss joining forces and taking things from Zhang Yi, but Xu Hao swears that all of this is part of gaining the rich guy's trust. Thinking more deeply about it, Zhang Yi realizes that Wang Simon knows about his weapons, his snowmobile, and bunker in the apartment. He decides to use this to his advantage. The protagonist tells Xu Hao to tell everything he knows to Wang Simon's house. If he misses a detail, he dies. After telling everything about his underground bunker, made with rocket materials, with a system of sleep-inducing gases and flamethrowers at the entrance. Basically, the place is an impenetrable hell. The only way in is if those inside let you, so Zhang Yi's focus turns to figuring out how to neutralize the gas and flamethrower system. The plan Xu Hao proposes is for him to pretend to capture Zhang Yi and make Wang Simon let him in. This plan doesn't smell too good to the protagonist, but it seems to be the only choice. About this, he has an idea. If he can use his dimensional space ability in other ways. Zhang Yi, acting all weird, thinks about the possibilities. Then he tells Xu Hao to leave, get out of here, and in 2 or 3 days, I'll call you. But master, what about the antidote? I'll die without it, Xu Hao says. Zhang Yi says it's no problem because it takes 7 days for the poison to take effect. He has time. Zhang Yi slams the door in Xu Hao's face. Now he has to figure out what else he can cheat in reality with this power. So he sits back down, thinks about it a lot. Suddenly he makes a fire inside the house and starts trying to absorb the fire with his ability. If it's like the food that's preserved, it'll be incredible. He absorbs all the fire and doesn't get burned in the process. Then he manages to shoot out the same fire, like a cannon. The guy is so overpowering and it makes him very happy. If this worked, what else could be possible? Thinking about this, he wonders if he could suck someone into the dimensional theft hole. With that in mind, Zhang Yi managed to get one of the residents of Li Jian's building as a guinea pig. He threw a wooden stick in front of the guy and said if he can hit it, he'll get a bread as a reward. Of course, the man was suspicious as to why the almighty Zhang Yi would ask someone to beat him with a stick. Is this guy a masochist? Motivated Excited by the prospect of food, the man jumped in to hit the stick with all his might. As Zhang Yi thought, he managed to suck the guy into the dimensional storage space, and it happened very slowly. After entering up to the last leg, Zhang Yi checked inside the space he controlled. The man was in there, frozen like everything else in there, unable to move and didn't seem to be alive. Checking his body, he realized there was no pulse or breathing. Thinking about it, it makes sense that food doesn't spoil and stays the same as when it entered. Everything in here is frozen in time. Taking the guy out, and to Zhang Yi's surprise, he was alive. He kicked the wood to the side and went to ask the guy how he felt seconds ago. Terrified, he replied that he thought he was dead. He was in a white world with supplies all around. This information blows Zhang Yi's mind, but of course, he tells the man that it was some delusion of his. But in the head of our crazy protagonist, he just discovered that time passes differently inside his dimension and that living beings don't die immediately there, but if they stay too long inside, they can have a mental breakdown and die from it. What wasn't clear to me is if he meant that besides the psychological being affected, living things cannot be sucked as easily as lifeless things. Because he removes some pieces of the man for the simple purpose of testing this. He sends the fingers easily and it works. They can stay in the other dimension. Tell me, you smarter ones, how do you think Zhang Yi's power works in the comments? After destroying the guy, he gives him something to treat his fingers. See how nice he is. After thinking for a while, the man is all happy down there, fingerless, insane, but at least eating well. The conclusions were that he can throw objects out of the space. Now people can't be sucked or thrown out. I, with my few neurons, think this guy only entered the dimension because he jumped towards the portal. Now things like fire, he can suck in and project out in whichever direction he wants. With this information, he already knows he can defeat Wang Ximen. He goes to his great guinea pig friend and thanks him for the help. The poor guy didn't complain about anything and thanks for being able to exchange 2 fingers for food and says he has 8 more. Zhang Yi suddenly lands a blow to his jugular and the man falls backward without understanding what happened. Evil Zhang Yi says that he's no longer useful and since he's already had his reward meal, it's time to leave. Strangely, the miserable man, with his vision darkening, is happy to finally be able to escape from this cruel world. Back home, Zhang Yi says he'll find more people from Lin Jian's building to practice real combat simulation for another 3 days. So, 3 days of wickedness later, Zhang Yi called Su Hao for a chat. But first, Xu Hao was begging for the antidote. His poison was taking effect faster, he could feel it. Zhang Yi notices that Xu Hao is eating well now, but the poor guy's appearance is worsening, all due to a fake injection. That's the power of psychology. The protagonist then says he'll give a temporary antidote that relieves symptoms for some time. Hurry up, please. I can't take it anymore. I'm dying. He applies it and says it'll only last until the operation to invade Wang Ximen's underground bunker. After applying it, Xu Hao thanks the master and says the plan can start. He calls Wang Ximen to set up a meeting. Something tells me Zhang Yi will do something. Later he packed his things and told Zhou Qir he's going on a mission. What's strange to her is that all the neighborhood's problems have been solved. So why? At the right time, he says he'll tell his girlfriend. For now, she should stay in the building. He left food for almost a month for her and Uncle Yu. Worried, our lovely Zhou Qir tries to stop him from leaving. It's always dangerous outside. Her man then says he's the danger out there. He gives her a sweet kiss and says everything will be fine. If that's the case, she calms down. Our Zhou Qir is a bit naughty, guys. The mission now is to go to the bunker, but unlike what we expected, Xu Hao is tied up behind. The protagonist explains that they have to keep up appearances. The two walk into the city. After a while, they reach the condominium area, which was the city's richest region. Zhang Yi says since it's the highest place in the city, not even the houses were covered by snow. I didn't quite understand how it works, but the topography of the place makes it snowless. From the entrance of the condominium onward, they go on foot. They won't take the snowmobile to Wang Ximen's house. A woman in one of the houses noticed the duo's arrival on a snowmobile. Looking at her empty house without food, she thinks this must be her hope. When they arrived in front of Wang Ximen's mansion, it was already dark. In front of the house, Zhang Yi tells Xu Hao to go call the rich boy. Scared of taking a bullet, he goes to the camera to say, "Incredible, legendary, rich and handsome Wang Ximen. It's me. I came for the meeting to negotiate the snowmobile." On the other side, the rich kid doesn't understand why they're here today and not tomorrow, which was the agreed upon day. Furthermore, the snowmobile isn't with them. But anyway, Xu Hao says to brother Wang Ximen, "Please let us in. This is a unique opportunity to get what you want." Wang Ximen makes it clear that if they try anything, they'll be eliminated. Entering the mansion, Zhang Yi realizes that the apartment doesn't even compare to this. Xu Hao goes ahead, afraid of getting a headshot. He says that after that door is indeed his house. They keep walking. The millionaire Wang Ximen presses a little button on the computer, and then in the security corridor, defense mechanisms are activated, and gases are injected inside. In the rich kid's cameras, the smoke filled everything, and the screams he heard from the two were of desperation. Upon realizing that everything fell silent, he says it's time to treat the guests very well. What you can't perceive is that within the smoke curtain, Zhang Yi was wearing a gas mask and sucking all the smoke into the dimensional theft space. After a few minutes, the door opens. The plan is to shoot him when he approaches. But to Zhang Yi's surprise, the rich boy didn't come, so he pretended to be unconscious and angry with Xu Hao, who said that only Wang Ximen and the beautiful girls lived here. The heavily armed guy knocked on the protagonist to make sure he was knocked out and threw him on the bunk. At that moment, Zhang Yi realized that this person is a famous TV actor and must be Wang Ximen's friend. Inside, he threw the two of them on the ground like garbage bags. bags. He tied them up while remarking that the security system was truly incredible. The rich guy remarked that it was obvious, as the bunker cost $1 billion to make. Leaving the two behind, they discussed how Zhang Yi had hidden the snowmobile nearby, so he would go look for it. While the two talked, Zhang Yi released the gas he absorbed in the perfect direction toward the guys. "Hey brother Lin, why are you falling?" "I'm not, but why are you shrinking?" As the men fell to the ground, Zhang Yi had already freed himself. Zhu Hao and the two wealthy men were unconscious from the gas, and he was now free. The first thing he did was tie up the two and take their weapons. The guys used gold-plated Desert Eagles. Zhang Yi applied the law of communism and took them for himself. All the places were fancy and large. Walking through the rooms, one of them had an indoor plantation, now clearly belonging to Zhang Yi. Going upstairs, he found game rooms, in one of which were the beautiful girls Xu Hao had mentioned, but it was strange that they were all unconscious. In another room labeled dogs and cats, there were the sights they were seeing and tied up cosplayers, clothes strewn on the floor. One of them was awake and crying, begging for forgiveness from Mr. Wang Simon, saying they were wrong. Holding on to her legs, she said they just wanted to go out for a bit, and could do anything he wanted if he let them. Without heart or empathy, Zhang Yi kicked the girl and said that now he had an idea of what was happening here with the others. A few shots, and the place fell silent. Now in the surveillance room, Zhang Yi said the heart of this madhouse must be here. All the cameras and environments were controlled from here. After walking through the other 200,000 rooms, many of which only opened with a password, he gave up and went back to wake the two rich men up with water in their faces. "Are you awake?" Not understanding how this happened, the rich guy freaks out. Zhang Yi then makes it clear that a magician doesn't reveal his tricks, and now has something more important to discuss. He asks if Wang Simon wants to cooperate with him or not. The answer is yes, as long as he doesn't hurt him. Zhang Yi's condition is to live here with Simon, which shouldn't be a problem in such a big house. Surprised, Wang Simon asks if the protagonist only wanted to live here with them, not kill everyone and take over the place and its girls. He says no, that here is too big to live alone, it would be lonely. Wang, all happy, says that if he wants to be friends, he can. Zhang Yi says that the snow won't last forever, and when it's gone, a poor and unimportant person like him being friends with someone as rich as Wang Simon is the best thing to do. Simon agrees, but internally, he thinks about how Zhang Yi is too afraid to kill him. To release the rich guy, Zhang Yi's condition is for him to teach him how to operate the house's security system, to give him the passwords and everything else. As he has no choice, Simon tells him to promise not to hurt him after he does that. Zhang Yi promises that after that, he will let him go. "I don't kill innocents." With no choice, Wang Simon agrees. In the control room, the rich guy teaches Zhang Yi everything, including the passwords and the instruction manual. With all this, Zhang Yi is sure he can control the entire house. If that's the case, brother Zhang Yi can release Simon. He smiles maliciously and agrees. Zhang Yi takes out a knife and cuts Wang Simon's vocal cords. He calmly tells him to breathe slowly, assuring him that the pain will soon fade away. He truly soothes the man, allowing him to peacefully transition to the other world. Simon, now voiceless, wonders why he's saying all this to someone he just deceived. Zhang Yi, as if reading minds, remarks that there's no point in keeping a worthless piece of crap alive. Perhaps it's because of the girls he saw inside. Yeah, that must be it, folks. After disposing of the two, Zhang Yi cleans up the mess that leaked out from Wang Simon and his friend. His dilemma is what to do with Xu Hao, who helped a lot, and everything went smoothly because of him. While contemplating, young Xu Hao opens his eyes and catches sight of the scene the protagonist wanted to hide, him cleaning up the aftermath. However, upon being released, Xu Hao is simply happy. So that miserable Wang Simon went to hell, well deserved for all he did. Zhang Yi points to a backpack full of food, saying it's his reward for a job well done. Upon hearing the word food, the man rushes over to see and starts eating right there. The issue is that Zhang Yi mentions the house's power won't last long with the generators here, and the food is running out, so that's all the reward he can offer for taking over the bunker. Xu Hao, upon hearing this, refuses to accept and questions if he heard correctly. The protagonist confirms it, explaining that Wang Simon lived here with many other people, and they consumed everything in the house, probably because of all the women. I think it's true. However, Xu Hao doesn't believe it, accusing Zhang Yi of hiding the good stuff from him and not sharing properly. Angry at the situation, he kicks the food backpack and says he won't accept it. He provided the information about this place and took risks for such a meager reward. Xu Hao claims Zhang Yi is lying. He advances towards the protagonist with hatred, saying that if that's the case, it's better for Zhang Yi to kill him, or Xu Hao will spill everything about Zhang Yi to the others, the supplies and powers he possesses. If not Xu Hao himself, someone stronger will come to defeat him. In anger, Zhang Yi shoots Xu Hao in the chest. He falls to the ground, unable to react because he's stupid. Zhang Yi simply says that anger doesn't make you stronger, only weaker. If you don't have power, you shouldn't confront those who are stronger. Taking back the backpack, Zhang Yi says he was going to let young Xu Hao live, and even gave him the food there, so why did he seek his own death? Later, the protagonist ponders things in the living room, 1,000 thoughts running through the scoundrel's mind. If Zhokir were here with him, it would be great. But what about Uncle Yu? Maybe he'll let Uncle stay in the apartment, and he'll move here with Zhokir. Now walking through the bar, he says there's only one thing missing. He promised to find a delicious girl for Uncle Yu. How is he going to do that? He can't know that now. He decides to have a drink and see if the TV works. Incredibly, there's cable TV with channels from all over the world. Investigating how this is possible, he finds a network room. The mansion has its own internet server, so he can communicate communicate with the internet via Elon Musk's satellite. Zhang Yi can have information from all over the world with this connection. Searching the computers, he finds many things. The main information is about reports from other countries regarding individuals who gained special abilities. While some control fire, others turn green. However, most became deformed or gained useless characteristics. Anyway, Zhang Yi's conclusion is that if there are people with powers out there, it's another reason for him to stay here in this protected bunker. His main goal now is to immediately go get his woman and move her to this place. As he's about to start his snowmobile, a sweet voice calls out to him. His natural reaction is to pull out his gun and aim. The person in question is the redhead he saw earlier when Zhang Yi arrived. The woman says she has a favor to ask. Immediately, the protagonist recognizes her. Is she Zhang Yi, the hottest girl in China in recent years? Every man in the country wants her. It's truly amazing, guys. The girl says she hasn't eaten properly for days and asks if she can go with him. He responds that life is indeed difficult nowadays, even for the rich. But if she wants to go with him, she must give a good reason. The girl asserts that if she receives food, she's willing to accept any condition he wants, making it clear with a mouth gesture indicating it's really anything. At that moment, Zhang Yi blushes, then starts drooling. The scoundrel's heart is hooked. He regains his composure and tells her to come with him. The two head to the bunker, and at the door, she asks if this isn't Wang Simon's mansion. Zhang Yi says no, this place belongs to him now. Inside, it's warm, so she takes off her coat. She thanks him for letting her in and asks about his relationship with Wang Simon. Without answering, Zhang Yi asks about her relationship with Wang Simon. Do the rich know all the other rich people around? She explains that since their families are very wealthy, they bump into each other at all the fancy places and events. That's all. If that's the case, Zhang Yi says she shouldn't worry about Wang Simon. He's moved out. They have tea to warm their bodies, and then she asks if she can take a shower before they talk more. By all means, she undresses and goes to the shower. Guys, control yourselves. Inside, she thinks the guy is quite charming. If it's to ensure her survival, she can make sacrifices. The girl's plan is to ask to stay with him for a while, just until the extreme cold is over. Imagining what she'll have to give in return, she blushes and tries to convince herself that it's for her own good. It's just a favor exchange. She needs someone to protect her. Coming out of the bathroom, she puts on a towel and goes to him in the living room. The girl asks, straight away, can I live here with you? It's hard for a weak woman to survive alone in such a harsh world. She uses her strongest weapon and says that if it's only for a short time, then nobody will know about their relationship. Zhang Yi takes her hand and goes to get more wine for them. He asks if she really thinks the ice will melt and the world will return to normal. She says it has to. If that's the case, he says, it's okay, but the woman has some conditions. Zhang Yi can't spread the news that she was with him after the global freeze ends, as she's famous and her career would be jeopardized. He agrees. Now Zhang Yi's first rule is for her to obey all his orders. To start, the first order is to burn calories with very pleasurable couple exercises. They must spend a lot of energy together. After many deep movements, Zhang Yi shows her his power by producing a new outfit for her to wear. The girl is surprised and asks if he's a powerful magician. If so, she wants to discuss more things with him right away. She's still in a towel to not lose her natural power, so Zhang Yi, to demonstrate his power better, conjures up a complete meal table with pizza and roast chicken. If she's obedient, the beautiful girl can have this level of comfort. All she needs to do is obey his desires. The woman drools over the food. Zhang Yi tells her to be smart, just accept it already. She's thinking why, as a famous actress, she can't be discovered sleeping with just anyone. She's still worried about her reputation and says she has more conditions. Their agreement is only valid until the freezing in the world ends. Everything they do here is a secret. Gazing at the beauty in front of him, Zhang Yi says she's beautiful. The girl's second condition, which she says with embarrassment and fidgeting, is that she can't be forced to do very perverted things. He has to accept that, and then they can have a colorful friendship. Zhang Yi comes close and says she came to him for help, so she can't ask for too much. Plus, if it's enjoyable for him, it will be for her too. He opens the gates for the girl, while she's still hesitant, but in the end, she accepts everything. Zhang Yi informs that he'll go out to find someone else to come live here. But before that, he ponders and asks if many wealthy people still live in this condominium, and if she knows them. If everyone here had millions, they might have a better chance of surviving until now. What Zhang Yi really wants to know is if she knows a beautiful woman to introduce to someone. She says most of the wealthy here are older. Does his friend care about that? That's perfect. His friend is 40 years old. If that's the case, Yang Mi says she knows Zhou Haimei, once considered a goddess by many. Zhang Yi tells her to call the woman right away. She calls the goddess and explains the situation for her to come. After a few minutes, the legendary Zhou Haimei was here. Zhang Yi displays his power to conjure food from beyond and hands it to her. It was because of this that the woman came. He then quickly asks if things are clear to her too. We are making a deal here of food in exchange for food for his friend. They are going out now. Zhang Yi warns that if information about this place leaks out, both of them will die. Meanwhile, next to the territory of the luxury condominiums, in a province called Chu, some people are prepared to walk in the cold, and with some equipment they will dig in the snow. These people can withstand the cold and break the ice in the right right places, and fish. While they were fishing, they noticed something coming from afar. Upon closer inspection, it was a vehicle that could move on snow, and a beautiful woman. With the noise of the bike, the fishermen's wolves went after dragging the sleds. One of them clearly showed his intention by trying to hit Zhang Yi with a trident. To dodge it, Zhou Haimei fell from the snowmobile. Worried about Uncle Zhang Yi's woman, he stood in front of her and pointed at them. Are you aware that I'm armed? The confident lunatics ask how many bullets he has. Can he take them all down? In exchange for this snowmobile, they'll take the risk. Incredibly, Zhang Yi tried to argue that he doesn't need to kill everyone here, but if they did something, it would happen. One of the men says that if he leaves the snowmobile and the woman, he can leave alive. Zhou Haimei behind thought this was a real possibility and got scared. However, firmly Zhang Yi asked if they were crazy. The man insisted that they couldn't let the chance of having food slip away to search for food. In this case, Zhang Yi had no choice. He grabbed his desert eagle and shot them all. The idiot was the first to take a shot to the forehead, with the noise attracting the dogs, so Zhang Yi, using his storage skill, sucked the wolves into the dimensional space. Girl Zhou Haimei climbed back onto the snowmobile, and they continued to flee. People returned, but all they found were their brothers' bodies in the snow. They also noticed that the dogs were gone. The men looked around and couldn't see where the dogs were. This outsider killed their people and stole their dogs. This couldn't end like this. They would have to seek revenge. Carrying the bodies, they returned to their village. In their village there's a castle, and inside there's an otaku hugging a dakimakura pillow. Are you guys like that too? There's no point in lying, I know. The villagers defeated by Zhang Yi returned and went to talk to the otaku in his room. They were disgusted with everything here, asking if he wouldn't prefer a real woman who isn't 2D. The boy is lost in this world, so they need to pull his blanket to wake him up. The situation is so serious that he doesn't even realize there are people in his room watching him date. Wait outside, I'm dating. Sometime later, he left his wife and went to talk to the men. They tell him about a man who has a snowmobile and a beautiful 3D woman. They need that snowmobile and also need to avenge their brother's deaths. The reason they came to the chubby guy is that this outsider may have powers just like the otaku. They want him to help capture Zhang Yi and get the snowmobile for them. The otaku, who seems very important, says that God gave him this power, so he must have sent this person with powers to make him even stronger. Chun will accept the challenge and hunt down this person. The elders affirm that their tribe cannot be intimidated, and what the otaku is doing is noble. They rely on young Chun. Sometime later, Zhang Yi and Zhou Haimei arrive at the building where their safe house is located. The woman seems sad about the situation. The reason for her sadness is that, in the current situation, she has no other choice. To survive, she must accept being someone else's woman, whom she doesn't even know. When they arrive, Zhou Qir will receive her unfaithful boyfriend. He has been working for so many days away, so he must be tired. Upon realizing the presence of another maiden, Zhou Qir, embarrassed, says she didn't know Zhang Yi liked older women. The protagonist tells the guest to sit down, and leaving the room, he tells Zhou Qir that this person is not for him. She came to meet Uncle Yu, but Zhang Yi asserts that there's nothing wrong with older women. Leaving that aside, how is Uncle Yu? He healed in a week. A normal person would take 3 months to heal. The old man is as good as new. The protagonist's orders were for Zhou Qir always to apply sedatives to restrain his uncle, but now it's time for him to leave the cage. Zhang Yi's concern is that there are others out there with powers. Building a good relationship and keeping his Uncle Yu in good condition are his interests. Together, they are stronger. Inside the room, Uncle Yu was doing very well. He said he was very happy and grateful for everything his nephew did for him. Besides saving his life, he now looks handsome. Uncle Yu feels much stronger now. To demonstrate this, he puts his hand on the bed to try to break it. However, Zhang Yi, impressed, tells him to calm down. Uncle Yu shouldn't think he's a monster. In fact, he has just awakened. He gives an example that before he was a tadpole, but now he's a frog. To help, Zhang Yi reveals his power as well, making it clear to Uncle Yu how he always had so much food. Because of his excitement, Uncle slapped the bed and broke it, causing it to fall to the ground. Zhang Yi asks if he's okay. He says yes. He just needs to get used to his strength. The protagonist asks his uncle if he wanted a wife. He has something for him. Zhang Yi takes him to the living room and shows him his gift. Immediately, he recognizes. Could you be Zhou Haimei? She says yes and asks if he's Uncle Yu. Look at how excited the old man gets. Zhang Yi says that this house will be theirs and they can get to know each other and live here together. Zhang Yi will move elsewhere with Zhou Qir. They prepare to leave. Zhang Yi tells Uncle Yu that this snowmobile will be his gift to use it and get food now. His uncle is very honest, saying that this is too much. The snowmobile is important to Zhang Yi. However, the protagonist shows his new ride, a snow-going car. Now it's no secret to anyone that he has powers, and everyone is shocked by this. The two of them go by car to their new home. Along the way, Zhou Qir asks if their new home is beautiful. He replies yes, it's very spacious and comfortable, nothing like their apartment. Along the way, Zhang Yi warns that there is another person at home. He's warning her in advance to be prepared. Zhou Qir sulks because it's obvious it must be another woman. In this way, Zhang Yi reassures his wife, saying that it's just someone who will help with housework every day. Initially, she asks if it's only for this reason, and he says yes, she is the only one in his heart. After that, Zhou Qir calms down and becomes happy. Zhang Yi is relieved because he doesn't need a disobedient woman. On the way, they face a heavy snowstorm until something stronger than the snow hits the car, a tornado. Realizing this, the tornado was pushing the car, so Zhang Yi uses his ability and sucks the entire snow tornado into another dimension. However, right after that, another different tornado threatens them. At this moment, Zhang Yi realizes that there must be another person with abilities like his uncle, so he turns around and flees. More snow tornadoes come their way, and just like before, he absorbs them with his storage power. The culprit behind this was the otaku. These attacks are very exhausting, so now he's at his limit. The others with him ask if he's okay. He says yes, but he needs to rest a bit. Now that they've confirmed the enemy's powers, they are worried. Zhang Yi stops the car and takes a rifle from his storage. He deduces that his opponent must tire out a lot with their attacks, so he must retaliate while they recover. Zhang Yi gets out of his car and shoots at the snowbank. One of them is hit in the leg and shouts for help. Only 2 remain. The otaku still wonders how he can see them hidden, so Zhang Yi shoots several more times. Chun attacks with tornadoes, but his attacks are easily nullified. Despite giving his all, he is completely neutralized. How can he be so powerful? With this, Zhang Yi says they must have realized the difference in power. They are not reacting anymore. However, continuing this fight here could be dangerous for Zhokir. Zhang Yi shouts that if they have the courage, they should come after him, but now the fight will be on his turf. Zhang Yi returns to the car, and she calms down very quickly and asks if he has killed them all. He says no. So you'll come back for revenge later. She asks this because she already knows her boyfriend and knows he's like that. They continue on their way, leaving the defeated ones behind, but at least everyone is alive. In the bunker, his red-haired girl was lying down until now, waiting for him to return. This happened, and as soon as the protagonist arrived, he went to inform Yang Mi that she should come and meet his new friend. She asks if the friend is engaged to him or something. It's something like that. Zhang Yi hands her new clothes to wear and come downstairs now, and let's face it, she looks very good in that outfit. Determined to claim territory, Yang Mi dresses up and puts on makeup to meet her rival. As she descends the stairs, Zhang Yi is excited about it. Following behind is the beautiful redhead. When the 2 girls see each other, they are startled, and Zhokir approaches Yang Mi with fists clenched, hinting at a possible fight. Zhang Yi intervenes and asks if they already know each other. Zhokir confirms that she's her cousin. Surprised, Zhang Yi stands between them and asks if it's all getting a bit too serious. Yang Mi asks him not to let her cousin know about their relationship, but Zhang Yi questions if there is indeed a relationship. The shy girl wonders if their agreement isn't just a temporary arrangement. They are cousins, and their families are famous in the medical field. Zhokir doesn't like her cousin because, according to her, Yang Mi embarrasses the family name. People in their social circles mock them because Yang Mi chose to work in the entertainment industry. Zhokir complains that the worst part is her cousin's poor acting skills. Zhang Yi asks why that's a problem. It's because Yang Mi uses her looks to promote herself, and that vulgarity makes others mock their family. Zhang Yi intervenes again, stating that it's all in the past, and there's no longer such a social circle. From now on, they will have to live together peacefully. He decides to show them around the new house and their responsibilities there. When they see the cultivation room, they get excited about taking care of the plants, as these gardens are their responsibility. Yang Mi thanks the protagonist for keeping her secret. She suggests they can maintain their relationship, but keep it a secret. Zhang Yi nods in agreement, respecting her opinion. However, he wonders how he'll manage their 3-way relationship now. To express her gratitude, Yang Mi offers to cook for them and heads to the kitchen. Later, while searching for ingredients, she finds there's nothing in the pantry. As she searches, Zhang Yi sneakily approaches her and whispers in her ear, making her blush as she wonders what he's up to. What are you doing, and what if your fiancé finds out? He ignores her concerns and retrieves ingredients from his dimensional storage, telling her this is how they'll eat from now on. Even though she's aware of his powers, she's impressed, as are we by other things. He pats her bottom playfully and eagerly anticipates the meal. After a while, the food is ready and they can start eating. Apprehensive about whether they'll like it, Zhokir tastes it first and remarks that it's too salty. Embarrassed, Yang Mi admits she couldn't concentrate with everything going on. Sensing the tension between the cousins, Zhang Yi decides to take advantage. He starts being affectionate with Zhokir, feeding her, and she responds by being cute and happy, showing off to her cousin. Even though she pretends not to care, she keeps up the display throughout dinner. Later, as they lie in bed, Zhokir asks which of them is better. Zhang Yi pets her head and says, "Of course you, it's her." Zhokir is his personal doctor, so she's more important. Not to mention, she's the most beautiful. Zhang Yi kisses her forehead and hugs her as they drift off to sleep. In this cute moment, the protagonist reflects that love is nonsense. Everything is about interests. In the following days, Zhang Yi practices his archery skills daily. At one point, he receives a call on his cell phone. Without caring who it might be, he declines the call and blocks the number. Nothing outside this place matters to him. However, mysteriously, the blocked number calls again, making him furious. How is this possible? He hangs up and blocks it again, but the number calls once more. Now he's driven crazy by it, and then the phone answers the call on its own. The person on the line asks why he won't answer their calls. Zhang Yi listens and learns that the person knows his personal information, including his date of birth, ID number, and everything that should be kept secret. Finally, the caller mentions his mansion. The caller says it's simple. This hacker wants Zhang Yi to provide food, clothing, and drinks in exchange for not spreading his information. The protagonist questions if he really thinks this information is important. However, the chubby man on the other end of the line claims to have evidence that Zhang Yi stole from the Walmart warehouse. If he spreads this, the right and powerful people from the entire city will come after him because they know he must have a lot of food. The chubby guy reveals his identity and where he used to work before the disaster. Even Zhang Yi is aware of the company this hacker works for, so if he knows all this, he might have taken control of the security systems of this mansion. Zhang Yi tries to convince the man that he doesn't doesn't have that much food, but it doesn't work. Despite Zhang Yi being furious at being blackmailed in this way, he listens to the man's demands. This mansion relies on security cameras, alarms, digital locks, and other things. The man threatens that if he disables these, at any moment he could be attacked in his bunker. The chubby guy says he must deliver everything requested to his address at Villa 302. If Zhang Yi tries anything, he will know, and he will fulfill the threat of leaking all his secrets. After hanging up the phone, he gets so angry that he goes to the living room to get some water and calm down next to his wife. Zhou Qiu asks, "What's going on? Why is he so nervous?" Zhang Yi tells her everything. His location has been discovered, and how the hacker threatened to leak his information.
Subscribe for next episode.